Here's your lineup for Heat 2A. Mr. Pringles, Scott Pierce driving that boat. Circus Circus back in action. The pink Circus Circus driven by Chip Hanauer. The Winston Eagle, Larry Lauterbach will be driving. Oh boy, Oberto, the gentleman you just watched get dressed for racing, George Woods Jr. Rounding out the field, Mitch Evans in the Miss Cairo Choice.
As they come down for the start of Heat 2A, it's the Winston Eagle. Wants the inside lane, says Larry Lauterbach. Circus Circus, Chip Hanauer, lane 2. Lane 3, Mr. Pringles. Over Oberto, lane 4. On the far outside, the Cairo Choice as they come down for the start. And they're really going to converge into corner number 1, which is a very tight corner, Dick Griffin.
As they come down for the start, it's going to be 3 boats taking it nose on the line as the final second ticked off the clock. It's going to be Chip presents Mr. Pringles in the lead spot, but as they come down, the Day-Glow red boat of Winston Eagle has closed down the gap. Circus Circus is back in the rooster tail. Look at the rough water down in corner number 2. As we come out of that turn, it is going to be Chip presents Mr. Pringles and tying him up on the inside, and Circus Circus has gone dead in that corner.
Dick, he may have taken some water on from the lane number 1 and 3 boats because he came up in there very tight in corner number 1, and there was a lot of water. But oh, look at the skip of the Winston Eagle. Larry Lauterbach, lane number 1, the bright red boat on his hip is the Mr. Pringles as they come down to complete lap number 1.
It's going to be Winston Eagle taking the lead in lap number 1. He's opening the gap a little bit more on the Chip presents Mr. Pringles. Circus Circus now back under power. 121.396 miles per hour. There's Chip Hanauer. He's got a long way to go to catch the rest of this field.
He's going to have to catch the whole field. He's going to have to come from 5th to 1st, and I don't think he can do it in a 3-lap heat.
That's the disadvantage of this type of a format as far as the drivers are concerned. It makes it a real sprint race, which is an exciting thing for the fans to watch. But he's powering on right now. This boat is not letting up at all, and neither is this boat. The Chip presents Mr. Pringles holding its second place, now about 5 boat lengths back off of the lead. There's your lead boat powering through the turn. He's really having to fight the wheel because the currents of the Ohio River are strong. They're causing a lot of wave action.
Chip Hanauer, the Circus Circus, has already caught him past the Cairo Choice. He's now going to challenge here on Old Boy Oberto. So he's moved from 5th up to 4th, and he'll try to move into a 3rd place finish. And he doesn't. As he comes down to complete lap number 2, he's moving to the 3rd place.
And, of course, it's the total of the points in the early races that put the boats in the final. And Circus Circus wants those points. Chip Hanauer, he's aiming at the lead. He'd love to get it. He knows his chances of getting it are very slim, but at least now he's going to get some sizable points. Meanwhile, oh boy, Oberto, George Woods is fighting the river all the way, holding the boat in, a very consistent runner. Good power on the boat. As he comes out of the turn, it grabs the water, throws him hard on the straightaway. He's very consistent. Back in 5th place, it's Mitch Evans in Cairo Choice.
So the way they run down with 1 more left to go, here's your leader, the Winston Eagle, with Larry Lauterbach as he comes down to take the checker flag. He's over 123 miles an hour his last lap, and he'll win Heat 2A as he comes down to take the checker flag. Gives him 400 points toward the final here at the end of the day. Here's a battle for 2nd place. Look at the Circus Circus come out on the outside. He's trying to catch the Pringles. Can he do it? The checker flag is ready. It's going to be very close, Dick.
On the inside, Chip presents Mr. Pringles. Circus Circus takes him. Circus Circus getting 2nd place, just barely by a nose. What a job of driving by Chip Hanauer.
To come from 5th place after conking out and come up and take 2nd place and pick up 300 points, that's something. And the final order finish, Winston Eagle, Circus Circus, Mr. Pringles, Old Boy Oberto, and Cairo Choice, and there's the points they earned. Let's go to the pits and Dick Griffin.
Well, Larry, you went out and took a lesson on some rough water early on, and it paid off.
We did, Dick. The Winston Eagle was running great in the first heat, and the driver was backing off too much in the corners and was going to ground auto. It's so rough out there, and I was getting off the throttle way too much. And, you know, Jim said, look, you can't take these turns all the way down to ground auto. It takes a while to get them going again. So I took a little schooling in Heat 1A, came back in 2A, and won the heat, and Winston Eagle was running great.
It was running great, but you knew you had to get into that turn earlier. You were going to hit some slop.
When you got Chip Hanauer, Chip, and Scotty Pierce on your hip, you know, you got to go. And, you know, Chip's is the phenomenal winner of our sport right now, and I knew I had my hands full to beat him, so it was a good feeling to get the Winston Eagle out in front.
The fans are sticking around in the rain here at Madison, Indiana. If you fans watching on television want to know more about the unlimited hydroplanes, contact the URC at 414 Pontius Avenue North, Suite C, Seattle, Washington, 98109. And we'll take a very close look at one of these combating teams here in the Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup after this timeout.
We're back in Madison, Indiana, just down the road from Hanover, Indiana, where driver Todd Yarling is from. He drives the Risley's team, which is owned by Bill Wister Jr.
We're real happy to have Todd. He's excited to be racing here in front of the home folks, people he grew up with and around, and we're real happy to have him because he's just that talented. He's one of those guys, he just has a knack for it. He's real good, and he knows a lot about building the boats, and he's helped us out in that regard too, because we've changed all the leading edges on the boat, and he's been giving us a lot of input into that through our testing.
Todd, talk to me a little bit about the team. This is a good team.
Well, you know, this is our first race for the team, all the members together, but really everybody on the team has got a lot of experience, so we're out here, we're ready to do some real racing, ready to do some winning. Crew chief is Ken Dryden. He's been around the sport for several years. He used to be on the Bud and then the Pringles. Now he's chiefing the whole program here. And we brought John Rice and Jay Lacrone from Seattle. And then the rest of the crew is my old U-22 crew from right here in town. My sister, Yvonne, and my brothers, Kai and Dennis Owen.
The rain continues to fall in a little drizzle as the fans cover up, but they're not leaving. Let's check the action that we'll see coming up in 2B. Miss Budweiser, driven by Jim Kropfeld. He's had a perfect day so far. Ron Snyder will drive the Miss Sundeck, owned by Brian Kehoe. Here's the hometown entry. Mike Hansen driving the whole set, Miss Madison. And the man we just heard from, Todd Yarling, in the U11, Miss Risley's. And rounding out the field will be the Miss Easter Seals, driven by Steve David. They're coming under the bridge as it's Budweiser in lane 1. Lane 2 is the Easter Seals. Lane 3, Sundeck. Lane 4, whole set, Miss Madison. On the outside, Miss Risley.
And it's going to be the Miss Budweiser trying to take the lead as they come down and hit the line. There's the red and white Miss Budweiser going hard into turn number 1. On the outside, the hometown entry. The fans are on their feet. Holset, Miss Madison, is trying to catch the Miss Budweiser out of the turn.
As they shake loose and come down the backstretch in this first of only 3 laps. Remember, these are 3-lap preliminary heats. You get 400 points for first. This boat right now is sitting in a 300-point section. He's in second place. And so on down the line. Only the 5 top point getters will get in the 5-lap final.
And they certainly have high hopes for the Holset Miss Madison, as we said earlier. That boat debuting for the first time in front of its hometown crowd because it came on the circuit after this race last year. The Miss Budweiser, Jimmy Kropfeld, with a good ride in that boat, being challenged ever so slightly by the Holset Miss Madison. Holset Miss Madison continues to drop back just a bit, but still holding very solid in second place.
About 4 miles an hour difference between the first place boat on your right, Miss Budweiser, 116.580, a little over 112 mile an hour for the second place, whole set Miss Madison. This boat was upside down in Detroit. Just the last race. The crew has done a wonderful job of putting it back together.
And I think that Jimmy Kropfeld welcomes the opportunity to slow it down a little bit and learn from this river to find out what kind of water it's going to present to him as he continues today. Ron Snyder in the Sundeck, running back in the pack right now in third place. He's got a good run on the boat. It's running very consistent. That's automobile powered. Miss Risley's Todd Yarling back in fourth place, trying to get more power to it. Here's your fifth place boat, Miss Easter Seals, fifth place, but I'm sure Stephen David is happy because the last race he did not finish. He broke down on the course. Here's your lead boat, the red and white Miss Budweiser, Jim Kropfeld, the driver.
And he comes down to complete lap number 2, and he slowed it way down. He's down to 112.362 mile an hour with 1 more lap to go. As we said, these preliminaries will whittle the field of 11 down to the 5 top point getters to run for the Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup as we look at boat number 2, Holset Miss Madison with Mike Hansen.
We talk about these boats slowing it down a little bit, and we have obviously seen Miss Budweiser slow down. But we have to tell you that boat weighs anywhere between 5,000 to 8,000 pounds, and it is still airborne on the water. She's coming in now for the checkered flag. Jim Kropfeld takes it with ease. That's his second heat win. He is in perfect condition right now to go perfect on the day. Jimmy Kropfeld in the Miss Budweiser. Mike Hansen trying to make a last-ditch effort. It will not go for him. Kropfeld takes the win for Bernie Little out of Lakeland, Florida. Good win for the Miss Budweiser.
Miss Budweiser coming in with 594 points down is trying to chip away at the high point lead. Here's your final standings for the Heat 2B. Let's go down to the pit area. Dick Crippen is standing by. Dick?
Well, Jim, you hit a little slop down in that first turn again, but you didn't let it get you.
Well, it's very sloppy down there. It's really rough. After we go through there a couple times, it's horrendous. It's beyond rough. It's really bad down there.
All right, you use your head, you get through it. Let me ask you something. The gyro, do you feel it working?
No, I sure don't. We haven't got the boat in an attitude that we needed. The guys got it really set up good. The Budweiser is performing perfectly today, and we're making it a real safe ride.
Bernie, you've got to be pleased with the way it's going, you know, after what you've been through the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, the crew's got it working good, and Jim's driving his heart out, and I think the Miss Budweiser will prevail in Madison this year.
We've got one more preliminary heat to go. I understand Dick Crippen is caught up to Mike Hansen, whole set Miss Madison driver.
Well, Mike, it was a massive rooster tails into that first turn. Then as they came out, all of a sudden the crowd saw Wholesome Miss Madison in second place. A cheer went up that you must have felt.
Oh, yeah. We knew that City of Madison was ready to see something like this. It's been 2 years coming for them to see their new boat compete in a race, and we finally got to go out there and run decent. In our first heat this morning, we had a motor that wasn't running quite up to par, but we're there now. We're running pretty good.
The rain continues, and so will the thunder. On the fourth stop of the HFC American Hydroplane Series after this timeout. Bob Fendler's U-146 have been named after the Easter seals for this race, and a very special occasion took place yesterday as the kids met the driver, Steve David.
Steve, you had quite an experience. I mean, you go up there and literally meet your sponsor.
Oh, yeah, God, you know, when I went up, I was worried about the boat, and then I met those kids, and I realized that nothing can be wrong, you know, when you meet how powerful they are and how positive they are, and all of them just overcoming whatever obstacles have been placed in front of them. It's a really wonderful experience.
I think it's a special treat for them to have a boat in the race, if you will.
We thank God that our owner is financially able to give them the boat for this weekend and let the kids really feel like it's theirs and be part of it.
Over 50 kids from the nearby Easter Seal camp on hand in wheelchairs, crutches, you name it, a very touching scene. Now let's check the starting lineup for Heat 3A. It'll be Mr. Pringles, driven by Scott Pierce. Circus, chauffeured by Chip Hanauer. Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser, driven by Jim Kropfeld. Oh Boy Alberta with George Woods Jr. at the wheel. And the hometown whole set Miss Madison to be driven by Mike Hansen.
As we look out on the course coming around the final turn for the start, a flying start as we use every time in unlimited hydroplane racing. Lane 1, Mr. Pringles. Lane 2, the Miss Budweiser. Lane 3, Circus. Lane 4, Wholesome Miss Madison. Lane 5, Oh Boy Oberto. George Woods, he likes that outside run. Down on the start, there's the flag, and it's the Miss Budweiser out in the lead, but check it out. Coming up on his right side, just off the hip, the pink Circus boat as they come out of corner number 2. It is the Miss Budweiser in the lead. Here is Chip presents Mr. Pringles, and he's coming up on the inside, but Circus has gone dead again in the water. Chip Hanauer sitting dead in the water. He is having all sorts of problems on that turn. And Jim, this time I don't think it was the water that got him.
No, I don't think so, because it doesn't look like anybody was near him. Because Pringles was in lane 1. This boat, your leader, Miss Budweiser, was lane 2. He was out on the outside in lane 3. His strobe light is on, which indicates to the officials he's okay. He'll try to restart. 115.421 mile an hour on the Zenith data computers for their lead boat. And here's the battle for second place.
On the inside, it's the multicolored Chip presents Mr. Pringles. On the outside, Oh Boy Oberto. That's an interesting battle. Here's the 4th place boat, Mike Hansen in the hometown. Wholesome, Miss Madison, and Circus back up on plane. Chip Hanauer is back in the race, but again, he has got a long way to go. Incidentally, a good shot of that strobe light we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, yes, he forgot to shut it off. He's got his engine started. He don't care about the strobe light. He's going to try to catch the field, but with only 3 laps, I don't think he can do it at this particular time.
Oh boy, Oberto now in 3rd place. The battle there, of course, was with Chip presents Mr. Pringles. Oh boy, Oberto continues in 3rd place. Chip presents Mr. Pringles in 2nd. The final turn for the Miss Budweiser. Jim Kropfeld bringing her home to the checkered flag. He's still got that perfect day intact. as he is definitely on course for the finals.
He'll have 1,200 points. You can't get any better than that going to the final. Pringles is going to make a challenge, but I don't think he'll do it in time.
He does not. There's the checkered flag out for Jim Cropfeld in Miss Budweiser. Second place goes to Jim Presents. Mr. Pringles, third place to Oh Boy Oberto.
The rain continues to fall. The crew signaling Jim Cropfeld. Once he slows down, the windshields gets really foggy by rain. It's only when he's going fast does the water dissipate. When he slows down, he has a tough time seeing. All the drivers will when they come into the pits.
Let's take a look at the final results. Miss Budweiser, of course, taking the win. Mr. Pringles, second place. Oh Boy Oberto, Miss Madison, and Circus Circus. Jim's down in the pit with a winning crew.
Ronnie, what have you done to this boat since Detroit that makes it ride a little harder on the front nose?
Well, we, to be honest with you, we moved some center of gravity around the CG in the boat and made a few more aerodynamic changes. And testing this week, we were trying some different theories, and today we just really hit on a good combination for this river. It just really seems to be handling the water beautiful, and we couldn't be happier. I really feel confident this week, and especially here today, the way the boat's riding.
Hendrick, and we'll return to the Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup with the final elimination heat in just a moment. Back to the banks of the Ohio River in Madison, Indiana. Some of the crowd enduring the rain here. Jim has a special guest down in our pit area.
Looking at the back chute on the Ohio River on the Kentucky side, there was a spot where an accident 2 years ago put this man in the hospital. He's Steve Reynolds, driver of Cellular One for the Steve Woomer Racing Team. That backflip that you flipped that boat in, Steve Reynolds, and actually you were unconscious for 3 weeks.
Yes, I was. 3 whole weeks.
And then you spent some time in hospital afterwards.
About a year after that.
After all that, do you miss it?
Very much. Very much.
They won't let you back in a boat?
Not a chance. Once is enough, they said. One time is all you get.
You drove many boats in your career.
Yeah, I did. In 10 years, I drove probably 5-year boats.
Looking back at the scene of the accident, does it bring back any memories?
Haunting memories.
Haunting?
Yeah.
Do you remember the accident, really?
No, I don't. I've just seen films of it and recounts from people. And people have recounted memory to me a lot of time, being right here in Madison.
Yeah, I guess that would bring back memories.
It sure did. I mean, seeing this river for the first time yesterday just kind of put me into a shaking mode. But I'm better now.
It's great to see Steve Reynolds again, and we expect to see him along the circuit with us several more times this year. Let's go to our starting lineup for the final elimination heat. First of all, the Cairo Choice Boat will be driven by Mitch Evans. Sundeck, Ron Snyder. The Winston Eagle, Larry Lauterbach. Miss Risley's, a hometown boat. Driver Todd Yarling. And Steve David driving for Easter Seal.
All right, they're coming around the corner number 4 as they come under the bridge. 3 sprint laps in lane 1. Miss Sundeck. Lane 2 is Cairo Choice. Lane 3, the Winston Eagle. And then there's the Miss Risley's and the Easter Seal boat.
No question on who was the leader at the start of that race. He was way out in front of the field. A perfect start for Larry Lauterbach in the red Winston Eagle. And he's got good command of the boat. I think he's kind of relieved to have that kind of command because at this point he's fighting still that rough water.
But when you're in the lead, Dick, it's not as rough as the rest of the pack. Right now he is in the lead down the back chute of the Ohio River. As we look across to Kentucky, here's the boat that is in second place, taking a little sloppier water. Mitch Evans, second place in the Cairo Choice as they go under the bridge.
And there's a good case in point about consistency. They have been working hard on that boat. It has gotten better and better. They continue to show the boat in a better attitude on the course, and right now riding in second place, so I know that team is happy. But this is your overall leader, Winston Eagle, Larry Lauterbach, a veteran driver of many, many years of hydroplane racing. Just came onto the circuit last year with the Unlimiteds, but he's done a great job. He has a good feel for the water wherever he races. Here's Cairo Choice. This is the second place boat. He's also got some 200-mile-an-hour tape up on the tail.
Any river can be rough, but this Ohio River this year is the roughest I've seen it in quite a few.
They are really having to battle the elements in every which way. A light rain continues to fall here at Madison. As we look at our lead boat out in front, 114.905 miles per hour. which quite honestly has been about the average speed of the lead boat so far today.
He's not being pushed at all, Dick. In fact, he's about 15 miles an hour faster than Mitch Evans is going in the Cairo Choice.
That's right, and it's going to set up quite a final coming up in our next race, because they're going to have all those turbines going in there, and they've all been averaging about the same speed. I think somebody's sandbagging. There's the Easter Seals boat. The first race that he got into today, he did not finish because of mechanical problems. He did take a finish in the next heat. He is now running in 3rd place. Here's your winning boat coming down now, trying to look up there and see if he's getting a signal that he has but 1 lap to go. 112.394 miles per hour on his 2nd lap. Larry Lauterbach.
We're getting the word now that the Miss Risley's Todd Yelling has been disqualified for cracking into the Miss Sundeck down in turn number 1 the first time they dove into that corner.
Well, Ronnie Snyder is not being slowed by any damage at this point, as you just saw the Sundeck riding high above the water, and it's a good run for that automobile-powered boat. Meanwhile, an excellent run for the Dayglow Red Winston Eagle, and that is official, by the way. We have been told it is officially Dayglow Red. I just want to make that clear.
This thing would glow at night. Forget the day. That's a bright red.
Well, I can tell you what, there's a smile in there that's glowing right now, because, again, Winston Eagle has taken a 1st place in one of the elimination heats here in Madison, Indiana. There's the checkered flag. Larry Lauterbach brings her home. He's got to be really feeling good about it. This is the only one of the main 4 turbine boats on the circuit so far this year. The 4 boats that have been in all of the races that have been turbine powered that has not taken a win yet.
Here's your 2nd place boat at Heat 3B, the Cairo Choice, Mitch Evans. Going back to Winston Eagle as we look at the 3rd place boat crossing the line, which is the Miss Easter Seals with Steve David. It's almost a perfect day for Winston. They've had 2 firsts and a 2nd. So as we look at the Easter Seals come in, the heat is now history. Winston Eagle 1st, Cairo Choice 2nd, Easter Seals 3rd, Sundeck 4th. Miss Risley's was disqualified. Let's go to the pit area and Dick Crippen.
Larry, again, some more sloppy water, but this time you had the easy draw.
I did have the easy draw this time, Dick. The Winston Eagle guys deserved a break, and we've been working hard all day and fighting propellers. We've had a couple props crack on us today and all, and the whole Winston Eagle team's been thrashing away on the new propeller program and all. So, yeah, we did have an easy draw, and we deserved it.
Did you have any hitting together out there? Somebody said it looked like the 2 might hit together.
Yeah, Steve David, Holland Williams thinking about it when we were scoring up. Came right, they ran on my right sponsor. I don't think we bumped, but I don't know what Steve was doing, whether he was, I don't know what happened down there, but Steve kind of got a little close to it, but nothing to hinder the performance of the boat.
Well, this Steve is happy because, Steve, the boat is going all right, and so far so good.
Well, the Winston Eagle's really starting to scream here today. Definitely an improvement over Detroit, so we're real happy and anticipating the final.
More HFC American Hydroplane Racing from Madison, Indiana at the Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup in a moment.